Everybody, so we are going live again today from Brazil, and I'm in Foz do Iguaçu, where some of you may have seen I've been to the amazing waterfalls here over the last few days. But today I want to come on and just share an experience with you what I had this morning, So I woke up this morning with all these amazing plans of everything that I'm going to do whilst here, because I've only got one full day here in Foz do Iguaçu before I make my way down to the coast here in Brazil. So I had all these amazing plans yesterday for today, but then I woke up this morning and realised that I never got a stamp to enter the country when crossing the border via walking. So I crossed the land border and I never got the stamp. So in my mind, I'm starting to freak out. So all of my sort of plans got put on hold, and then I had to rearrange my plans, and I had to go and figure out how I'm going to get this stamp without getting, say, a fine or getting in trouble. Because surely I wouldn't be able to leave the country maybe in a month or two, however long I'm going to be here. So I changed my plan, which was to now make my way to the border this morning. But bearing in mind, I've been trying to learn Spanish over the last 15 months or so. And now that I'm in Brazil, people speak Portuguese. So I literally know, I think, 3 or 4 words in Portuguese. So language is a bit of a barrier for me at the moment. So when I come across the border, I had absolutely zero money, zero cash. So yesterday, I tried to use the ATM, and for whatever reason, the ATMs here are not working with my debit card. So I thought, it's all okay. So I managed to work a way around it. I figured a way around it, and I had some American dollar coins I had from Ecuador a few months back, and apparently these are quite rare. So this guy that works in the waterfalls there, he actually bought some of the coins off of me using Brazilian reals, their currency here. So for me that worked wonders, and it allowed me to then be able to get a bus back into the centre where I am now. So bearing in mind there's a lot of locals on this bus, they don't need to stamp their passport because they don't even have their passport because they live here. So me being a tourist, which was probably, I think I was the only tourist on board at the time, the bus just drove straight through the the passport control, and I didn't even get a chance to even stamp my passport, and I didn't even think about it, So I walked to where I'm staying in the place now, and I went out last night and I'm trying to figure some things out. I'm trying to get myself a SIM card for my phone, and then last night I'm sat there and I realised, oh my God, I did not get a stamp when entering the country. So again, this morning I wake up and I was like, I need to change all of my plans. So the first thing was to walk to the shopping mall this morning, because apparently 9 a.m. The shop's open and there's some stalls there inside the shopping mall that sell SIM cards. So I thought, okay, brilliant, I'm going to get myself a SIM card, then I'm not going to be stranded and I can order a taxi or an Uber if necessary. So I walked to the store this morning about 8:30, maybe half an hour, and I arrived there, and apparently none of the shops open till 10. So now I'm sat there in the shopping mall just by myself, just thinking, what do I do? So I sat there for an hour and I managed to get some fruit from a supermarket. And then the plan was to get the SIM card and then go and get my stamp for my passport. So I waited the hour in the shopping mall. I go upstairs, they finally let me go upstairs, the security, and then the stall that sells the SIM cards is not open. So I'm like, okay, don't stress, it's all okay. And then 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, the lady comes, opens the stall, and then she sells me this SIM card, which I thought was so expensive, but I had no other option. So I buy the SIM card. No one in these stores seemed to speak any English, which is obviously obvious, like we're in Brazil. So I asked them if they speak Spanish, and this one lady spoke a bit of Spanish, so I used my Spanish as well. And we're translating in Spanish, and then I asked her for the ATMs, and she told me that they're all the same as the one that I've already tried. So I have no way of getting cash out anywhere, so all I've got is my debit card. And then this lady tells me there's a money shop across the road. So I walk out and I cross the road and I realise it's the Western Union. So I thought, oh, brilliant, perfect. Because throughout my travels over the last year and a bit now, I just use the Western Union. I send maybe $100-200 at a time, and I just take the cash out, and then it lasts me, you know. So I send, I think, maybe $150 to myself, which I always do, whilst I'm stood outside the store, and I walk into the shop, and then there's a young girl there and a young guy. And I asked them, do you speak English? And they said, yeah, we speak a bit of English. So, perfect, this is amazing. So she goes to me, did you just send money to yourself? And I said, yeah. And then she just looked at me and went, we are not a bank. And I said, okay, what do you mean? She went, I can't give you the money. I said, I don't understand. Like, I've done this throughout my whole travels, every single country. And she said, no, we can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. So I'm saying, well, I've just done it, and I've done it every other time. So we're trying to figure out a way around it, and there's no possible way around it. And now I'm starting to stress out. I'm starting to get worried. I'm starting to panic because I've just sent all the money in my account to that thing, and then I need to try and find more money to problems started to build on top of each other. Now I'm worried that I've got no cash and I can't get back on the bus or the taxi, and I'm just starting to stress out. And you know what? I'm just there and I'm just trying to figure out all these things in my head. And they're saying, we can't help you, we don't know what to do, ring this number. So now I ring the number, and they're speaking to me in Portuguese, and I don't understand what they're saying. And then I give it to the guy, and he speaks to them, then he hands it back to me, and they just hang up on me, and then I try again, and they just didn't answer. Then we tried again, and then the English speaker come on, and then I told her to wait for like 5 minutes as the guy's trying to on his computer again. And then she hangs up on me again. So now I'm getting stressed out. Now I'm panicking. Now I'm worrying. And I'm just trying to figure all this shit out in my mind. And it's stressing me out, you know. So then I'm just thinking, what do I do in this situation? And then I'm like, I need to get back to where I'm staying because I need to get the bus. And I'm leaving on the bus not too long from now. So I need to get back so I make it in time for the bus. And just these problems that I'm making up in my own head are just compounding on top of each other. And yeah, it's really starting to stress me out, you know. So this guy said, look, the guy, he was so helpful, to be fair. And he said to me, look, give me your WhatsApp number. I'm going to try and speak with them, but they said it's going to take at least 2 hours to try and figure this transaction out. Give me your WhatsApp number, and I'm going to message you, and I'll let you know if they can do the transaction or not. Okay, that's perfect. That's brilliant. So then, bearing in mind, I still need to get my passport stamped. Like, whilst this is all going on, I've got no stamp in my passport. I'm in the country illegally, basically. I've got no stamp to be in Brazil, so no one knows I'm here. So I'm, like, just stressing out big time. I'm thinking, if I get caught with his passport, like, they're going to be saying, when did you come to Brazil? Like, nobody knows, because I've got no stamp. So I cross the road, and I go to the petrol station, the petrol garage, and I start trying to order Ubers, and now they're trying to charge me like 4 times the price for an Uber. And I'm just thinking, what is going on today? Like, everything just seemed to, like, bad things just kept coming and coming and coming. And you know, in life, when it rains, it pours. When one thing goes bad, if you start stressing out about things just become more bad, because positive attracts positive and negative attracts negative. And I was in a negative energy, you know, I was in a negative vibration at that time, and I happily admit it, I was stressing out. So I'm stood outside this gas station and I'm stressing myself out, and I'm trying to order these Ubers and InDrives and taxis, and they weren't accepting. Then this one guy accepted for a lot cheaper, and I thought, oh, brilliant. I waited for 10 minutes and he hadn't moved anywhere, and I get a message in Portuguese, which I translated, and it said, give me this amount of money, which was like so expensive. And I was like, oh my God, so I had to cancel that, and then I had to try again. Finally, I get one accepted. And then this guy comes, he spoke a bit of Spanish, so it was perfect for me. So we're now speaking in Spanish, and I'm using my broken Spanish or my limited Spanish, and everything seemed to be working out. So he takes me to the border, I get out, and then I get there, and I'm like, what do I say to him? Because like, I arrived yesterday with no stamp. So I've been here for a day already, like illegally, basically. What do I do? So I don't know, I'm making more problems in my own mind. So I walk in there, do you speak English? And he said, like, a tiny bit. So, okay, so I said, I need a stamp to enter the country. So he stamps it, And then I said, how long do I have here? And then he just starts speaking to me in Portuguese. So now I'm going, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. In the end, he just wrote some stuff on my passport. I don't really know what it was. And then I left. So now I've got a stamp. So thankfully, I'm okay to be here. And then luckily, this taxi driver, he waited for me. And then he takes me back. And, you know, as I was stressing, I thought, you know what, just calm it down. So I'm stood there in the passport control. And I thought, I've been stressing maybe 10 minutes in this taxi to come here. Chill out. Just chill out. Everything's going to be okay. Like, I'm getting a stamp now. Everything's going to be fine. I'm going to get cash maybe at the next place where I go. Or I'm going to find a different ATM. It's going to be fine. I've got money in my pocket. A little bit of money in my pocket. Cash. I've got money on my card. If needed, I can use some money on my card. I've got a bus booked for tonight. And everything's going to be okay. And you know what? Like, I do coaching. I coach people. I coach people with their mindset. I coach people to become better and become the best versions of themselves. And at that moment in time, I was not the best version of myself. I was worried. I was nervous. I was scared. I was stressing out, you know. And sometimes we just have to remind ourselves to take a fucking breath and just chill the fuck out, you know. Because when you are in those heightened states, when you're stressing out and when you're worrying about things, you make things so much worse and they just compound on top of each other. And something that's not even a problem starts to become a problem. And your mindset plays such a big game in how you feel. And you can decide how you feel in any given moment. And as I was stood there in that passport control office, I just went, everything's going to be okay, Ryan. Like, in my head, it's going to be okay. Like, don't stress. I've got the stamp now. I don't know what it means, but I've got a stamp. And it's going to be fine. Like, I'm not going to get kicked out of the country. I'm not going to run out of money. Like, everything's going to be okay. I've got clothes on. I've got shoes on. I can go and get some food. It's all going to be good. So, like, don't stress out. Don't ruin your time here by worrying about don't have this, don't have that. Focus on what you do have and just work with what you got. Because, you know, in life, quite often there's so many things that are totally out of our control. And the things that happened this morning, the majority were out of my control. But how I felt in that moment was totally in my control. And I admit it, when I was in that Western Union, I was stressing out big time. But then when I got to the passport control is when I realised I'd been stressing for 20 odd minutes. And I just said, Ryan, chill, relax. Because a lot of the time we create problems in our own mind and they're not even as bad as we create. Like, we create these horrendous problems in our head. And, you know, overthinking is the art of creating problems that don't even exist. And all of this shit that I was creating in my mind an hour or so ago, it didn't even exist. So just know that how you feel and how you think is going to determine how you then move on through your potential challenges in life. Like, if you're going through a challenge and you start thinking negatively, you start thinking everything's going to go wrong, you start thinking things are going to get worse, you're going to attract that into your life and things fucking will get so much worse. And for me, it was just like the one thing happened with the shop, and then it was the card, and then it was this, and it was just on top of each other. And without even realising in that moment, I had brought all that shit on myself. So it took me to snap out of it 20 odd minutes later when I arrived at the passport control to say, Ryan, just chill. And many of us do it, you know, and I coach people in this also. So just know, like, nobody's perfect in life. And sometimes you even need somebody else, like it could be a friend, a family member. It could be a coach or mentor. Someone that is not in your head, basically, to say, look, chill out, chill the fuck out. Because in life, you can't read the label from inside the jar. Like, just imagine you're in a jar and you've got all these stressful thoughts going out and you've got this lid on top of the jar. So what's happening? The thoughts are coming out of your head and it's just filling this jar up and you're stuck in this jar and all it's doing is pushing you down and it's going to consume you completely. But sometimes you just need to literally take a step outside of the jar and then just turn and look back and think, I've been stressing, I've been making all of this shit up in my mind, and none of it's hard, like, none of it, or a small amount of it is true, and the majority of it is out of my control. So just ask yourself, how do I want to feel in this moment, and what can I control in this moment? And then control the controllables, because if you focus on what you can control rather than what you can't control, you're then able to deal with the cards that you've been dealt. And like if you've been dealt a shit hand in life, whatever it is, what you're going through, you just learn how to act with what you've been dealt, and then you just figure out things to the best of your ability from the resources that you have in front of you, because sometimes, look, so many of us get dealt a shit cards. Like, things happen in our lives on a day-to-day basis. We get taken the piss out of, we get knocked down, we get fucking, so much shit happens to us. It happens to all of us. But it's how you respond to a situation that's going to shape your future, because we get to choose whether we react or respond to situations. And just know this, reaction creates... I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that one again. I've just choked on my words. Reaction creates captivity, but true freedom lies within a thoughtful response. So for me this morning, when I was in that shop, when I was in that Western Union, I was reacting to the situation. Like, I was trying to ring these numbers, I was trying to go on the app, I was trying to send emails, I was just all up in my own head. And when you're in your own head, you're dead. And I was just literally in this shop just stressing out. But then when I was able to absorb the information that I was being given, that was presented to me, process it, and then respond rather than react, is the moment when I come up with a plan. I could see a vision. Right, order taxi. Stressed out about the taxi. Right, I've got a taxi. Let's go. We're on the way to the taxi. All I need is a stamp. I'm going to go to the border control. I'm going to get myself a stamp, and then I'm going to go. And I was still stressing. And then I get in there, and I got the stamp, and it was there on paper. And then I just thought, you know what? Chill the fuck out. And then what? 20 minutes later, I'm sat outside a coffee shop in 30-degree sunshine and beautiful hot weather here in Brazil, sipping on a frappuccino, like, and just 10 minutes ago I was stressing out before that. So just chill out, deal with the cards that you've been dealt, and look for a way of overcoming your problems rather than getting consumed by it and letting your problems overcome you, because there's not many things that you can't get through in life. Yeah, there's some things that might be challenging than others, but a lot of things are figure-outable, like you can figure the majority of things out, and if you can't do it, there's someone else that has done it themselves. So if you can't do it yourself, whatever it is, whatever area of your life that you're struggling with, reach out to someone that's already done it and ask them to assist you, and ask them for their guidance or their help, because there's so many things that maybe when you're stressing out, when you're going through that challenge yourself, you can't see no way out. And I've been there many a times in the past. And then it takes reaching out to another person that's already done it to give that guidance, and they're going to help you get there a lot quicker. So I hope someone's been able to take something from this today, and I really appreciate you for coming here and staying with me for this little chat that I've had today. Slightly longer than usual, but I really do hope someone's taken something from this. So just next time you'll start stressing out about something that is out of your control, just say to yourself, what can I control in this situation, and how would I like to feel right now? Because if you're stressing out, it's not going to get you there quicker. Trust me. So just chill out, take a nice deep breath, and just look at what you got. What are the options, and how can I move forward towards the reaction how can I move forward to the outcome that I would prefer, rather than, say, being stuck in the same place. So thanks so much for coming on, and I'm just going to show you a little bit where I am now after my morning. So I'm sat here right now next to the pool now. So what was all the stress about? No need to stress. I'm here, all good, and things got sorted in the end. So thank you so much for coming on, and I hope someone's taken something from this, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next live.